Welcome to our video series introducing you to Microsoft Excel. In this video, we'll look at more built-in functions for Excel formulas. Now, in this video, let's go beyond the basic actions that Excel gives you within formulas: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If we go beyond that, Excel offers you some ready-made functions that you can use to create formulas. First of all, let's talk about the average function. And it does exactly what it says. It calculates the average from the selection you give it. So let's say A1, let's put it as 1, A2 as 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. What's the average of those? If we create a formula equals average, and then in brackets we can do it manually. So A1 colon A6. So A1 through to A6. And press enter, and that's the average. Alternatively, if we press F2 to edit, we can enter simply equals average and opening bracket, and then we can simply make our selection, and it automatically updates our formula here. And if we press enter, there we go. We've achieved the same result that way, and you can see that the formula is automatically created here. So that's how the average function can be used within Excel. And if you wish, you can just press F2 to be able to edit the formula easily within the cell. We can make average just one part of a larger formula as well. So let's go with equals. And let's say the first half of the formula is sum, and then A1 through to A6. So we select that and press enter. And okay, that's right, we haven't quite finished up our formula. So equals sum A1 to A6, we need a bracket there. So this is the first half of the formula, basically adding up 1 through to 6. And then this is the second half of the formula, the average of all the values included in cell A1 through to cell A6. Just for demonstration purposes, let's actually select that. I'm going to right-click and cut that. So let's just start with the first half. And there it is. It just adds up these numbers. It gives us 21. And now for the second half, we'll put it separately for now, and we already know the value, but let's just quickly do it again. Right-click, paste, and we need to put an equals at the beginning. So I'm going to press F2 and equals average A1 to A6, press enter, and there it is. So this is the sum of A1 to A6, and this is the average of all the values contained within A1 to A6. So if we multiply them together, and we can do this here by going equal, and it's A8 times A9. So it will give us the value of A8 and A9 multiplied. And since this formula is referencing another formula, any changes made to the cells here will automatically take effect here, and I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. And there we go. 21 times 3.5 is 73.5. As I mentioned, this formula here references these two values, and these two values are formulas that reference the values here. Therefore, if any of these values change, it affects both of these formulas and this formula. So if I were to change 3 to 11, we can watch all these values change. We'll see what 21 becomes, and we'll see what 3.5 becomes, and we'll see what 73.5 becomes. Okay, quite a difference. We now have 29 and 4.83 as the average, and when those are multiplied, it's 140.1667. Okay, now let's put all that into one single formula. Equals, and the first half is sum A1 through to A6, closing bracket, and then times average A1 through to A6. And two closing brackets, of course. And let's just tidy this up a bit. Yes, superfluous bracket. So, okay, we don't need a bracket there, we don't need a bracket there, and we don't need a bracket at the end. So if we look at it again, the two halves are the sum of A1 through A6, and the second half is the average of the values contained in A1 through to A6. And multiply them together. Let's press enter. And okay, it comes to the same value. So as you can see, if you want to double check how you've structured your formula at any time, you can take the individual elements and put them into separate cells and just make sure that all the values add up as they should when taken separately, and also together. Okay, if I press F2 again, what I was intending to do was put a bracket here. Before the sum. And here, because I wanted each half of the formula, each separate part of the formula completely enclosed in its own set of brackets. That's just one possible way of working, and I just feel that it tidies up the formula. So I need to do the same in this section as well. There we go. Now each half of the formula is within its own set of brackets, so the first half, sum of A1 to A6, is enclosed in its own set of brackets, and then the second half, which is the average of A1 through to A6. Okay, press enter. And we get the same value again, so that all looks fine. Okay, let's take a quick look at a couple of further functions included within Excel. So let's remove these, select and delete, and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine for this demonstration. So now a new formula. Equals, put it in brackets just to be tidy, and equals, and max, A1 through to A6. Okay, press enter, and it's telling us what the maximum value is in that range. So, okay, let's press F2 to view the syntax of that. And actually, this isn't hugely important, but as I keep mentioning, you can use extra brackets just here, just immediately after the equals. You can use a bracket there if you wish, and then of course you need to include an extra bracket at the end so you have an entire pair. It's just another way of presenting things, how you prefer to present things, and using brackets does help keep things tidy, but sometimes with such small formulas, it does give an overcrowded look to a very simple formula, but it's just something to consider. Let's construct this very simply. Equals max, and then the value in brackets, A1 through to A6, so that's one option, and it returned the value of 6 as the maximum value in that selection. Alternatively, if we delete that, so A1, and if you wish, you can choose individual cells, so A1, comma, let's say A4, comma, space, A6. Press Enter and OK. So basically what we're asking is what is the maximum value contained in the series A1, A4, and A6. Let's change the A6 to A5. And press Enter. And now we have the value of 5 returned. Press F2. And what you can also do, for example, A1 through to A4, and also A6. So you can structure it like that. So basically you're asking Excel to give you the maximum of the values contained in the cells A1 through to A4. And also the value contained in A6. Or as an alternative, we can do A1 through to A3, and then A4, comma A6, for example, and press Enter, and we'll still get 6, but you can see how that can be structured. So then, equals max, and then brackets. You can enter as many cell selections as you wish, each one broken up by a comma. So you can just choose individual cell locations as demonstrated. For example, A1, comma, A4, comma, A6. So out of those cells, give me the maximum value. Press Enter and OK. So basically what we're asking is what is the maximum value contained in the series A1, A4, and A6. Let's change the A6 to A5. And press Enter. And now we have the value of 5 returned. Press F2. And what you can also do, for example, A1 through to A4, and also A6. So you can structure it like that. So basically you're asking Excel to give you the maximum of the values contained in the cells A1 through to A4, and also the value contained in A6. Or as an alternative, we can do A1 through to A3, and then A4, comma A6, for example, and press Enter, and we'll still get 6, but you can see how that can be structured. So then, equals max, and then brackets. You can enter as many cell selections as you wish, each one broken up by a comma. So you can just choose individual cell locations as demonstrated. For example, A1, comma, A4, comma, A6. So out of those cells, give me the maximum value. Or you can do multiple cell selection as shown, so it's very flexible in that way. Or you can even, if you want, do, let's say, show us the maximum of A1 through to A3, and you can also include numbers. So let's say 500. So you're asking Excel what is the maximum of the values contained within the cells A1 through to A3, or 500. Or we can even add another one if we wish, 255. Okay, enter. And not surprisingly, the answer given is 500. So that's how you can use the max function within Excel, and how it can be very flexible. And actually related to this, or very related to this, there's the min function. Just type equals min, and OK, now press Enter. And now the lowest value, the minimum value, is 1. So it works just the same as the max function, but obviously it's looking at the other end of the scale. And the syntax is exactly the same. You can include selections, you can include numbers, you can include single cells, such as A4, comma, and let's change that. Let's replace that with 0. And so now the minimum value returned is 0 because that's the lowest out of all those selections. Okay, and now actually let's get rid of 0. let's just do A1 through to A6. Okay, minimum value is 1. However, if I overwrite 1 with 20 and press enter, this should be automatically updated because it's referencing the values within cells, and it should be automatically updated to 2, which is the next lowest number down in that selection, and it does. Just as a side note, Excel helpfully, when you press F2 to edit a formula, so OK, press F2, and it color codes the segments of the formula with the actual cells within the spreadsheet. It's color-coded A1 through A6 here. So it just helps making editing formulas a little bit easier because you'll know exactly which areas you're referencing. Okay, now let's wrap this up with a couple of further functions. Let's delete the min formula. And equals, and this function is count, and the same selection options apply. You can use commas to make individual selections, or for example, we could do A1, comma A3, comma A6. Or we could do A1 through to A3, comma, space A4, comma, and an extra value such as 300. Essentially, what it's telling us is that when we press enter, we should get the value of 5. And we do. So we get 5 returns. And here's how that value is calculated. All the count function does is it counts how many values within the selection or the choices you made or included within the brackets are numbers. So basically, it's counting how many values are numbers within the brackets. So A1 to A3, 1, 2, 3, and then A4, that's number 4, and then 300, so that's 5. If I were to change 300 to ABC, for example, and press enter, now the value goes down to 4, you see. So that's basically all it's doing. And if we hit escape out of that, and let's change the value of A1 to hello, and press enter, and the value should now become 3, and it does. So that's how the count function works, if you may find a use for that. And let's go back here. Let's go back to the formula, F2, and finally, and very related to count, is count A. What that does is it counts everything within the selections you've decided, not just values that are numbers, but all the values, including labels, text labels, and so on. So count A, A1 to A3 should be 3, and A4 becomes 4, and ABC should become 5, and it does. If we go here and change hello to 0, it makes no difference. And if I change 2 to ABCDEF, and again, it makes no difference. Okay, F2. If I change ABC here to 1, 2, 3 and press enter, it makes no difference. If I add an extra value here, ABCD, within the actual formula, it should take us now to 6. And it does. And this function even works if you reference cells that have formulas in them. For example, let's delete that. And then let's do a quick auto sum. And okay, let's choose all that. Let's choose all that, even though obviously the 0 and the label, the text label, won't increase the value of the sum at all. Let's include them just to include the entire column here. So sum, A1 through to A6. Press enter, and it comes to 18. So now, if we do equals count A, and we can make a quick selection, so A1 through to A8, close bracket, and enter. And it gives us the value of 7, you see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't count empty cells, but it does count cells with formulas. And it counts 0, and it counts text labels. So if we quickly press F2 and change count A just to count, you'll see how the number changes. Now it becomes 6. So let's take a quick look. It's looking for numerical values from A1 through to A8. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it does include the formula as well. It's viewing this cell with the formula simply as another numerical value. Anyway, those are a number of functions that you can immediately start using within Excel that you may find useful. And as I demonstrated, they can be implemented as part of a larger formula if you wish, and particularly functions such as the average function can make a lot less work for you rather than you having to create a long-winded formula just to calculate the average number, let's say, for each column in a large worksheet. Using the average function can just speed that whole process up and make it a lot easier for you. And really, this is just the start of the powerful functionality that Excel offers you when you're dealing with numbers.